My Silver Circle story begins on the Minnesota Prairie near Litchfield, where my grandpa Sederstrom started the family farm in 1917. Beckville Lutheran Church, a short walk away, was at the center of our family life. We kids rode bikes a mile to a one-room country schoolhouse through 6th grade. My roots are also in the North Woods, where my other grandpa worked a mile underground in the Soudan Mine. He left us a cabin and sauna built by hand out on an island in Lake Vermilion. The University of Minnesota J School was a perfect fit for me as I learned radio news in my hometown, then radio and TV in Duluth, and all news radio in Minneapolis. At KXLT-TV Little Rock in the late 70s, I was the station's first producer and live reporter, some anchoring too. We added helicopter live shots. That helped us in the scare of our lives the day a Titan II missile with a nuclear warhead had a fuel leak and blew up in its silo. 2 years in a row, I reported on snowstorms for the Today Show.
10 inches of snow in the Nashville area, 12 inches at Paris, Tennessee.
Since those on-air days, I've produced thousands of newscasts and led teams in 4 states. At WGRZ-TV Buffalo, it was a great joy to help find a missing elderly couple stranded behind the Iron Curtain in Poland and get them home safe. In '85 and '86, crowds came to watch the news live as we featured communities around western New York. What fun to produce WLKY's newscast live from Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Day. At WWMT, our team blossomed, twice named Station of the Year for Michigan. Our coverage of the beginning of the Gulf War named Best Newscast. Our investigation of internet pharmacies showed how a dead man and even the Sederstrom family cat got a doctor's prescription for Viagra. Our reporter testified before a congressional subcommittee. At KTTC in Rochester, our push for daily news excellence has been recognized with multiple Emmys. Most rewarding? Helping young journalists, being part of our Eagles Cancer Telethon, organizing our Time to Care emergency fund drives.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Noel Sederstrom.
Well, as you've all seen, I'm a Minnesota guy from the farm country and the Northwoods, living and working in St. Paul, Minneapolis, Duluth, now Rochester, and a lot of places in between. It's a wonderful honor to become part of the Silver Circle here in my home state. Thank you so much. My dad has passed, but he sure would be proud. My mom says she had a clue about all of this. When at age 9, I came home from St. Andrew's Lutheran summer camp and promptly read all the Minneapolis Tribunes cover to cover that had been stored up for a week, just to catch up. This is a dream come true, really, and I have Jerry Watson to thank for this, for bringing me back to Minnesota after 19 years in Michigan. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry is my GM at KTTC. He's now a regional vice president for Quincy Media, Inc., and he supervises something like 10 or 11 or 12 television stations now. I came to Rochester to work for Jerry and this terrific family-owned company, Quincy Broadcasting. This company's led by Ralph Oakley. Quincy's all about journalism excellence and community service. Thank you, Jerry, for all that you do. When I was a young guy on my first TV job in Duluth in 1974, one morning I was handed one of those wind-up Bell & Howell 16mm silent cameras, some of you remember those, and sent to shoot a groundbreaking ceremony that they had forgotten about. Well, I had never shot anything before. I was thunderstruck when I got there because there at the ceremony were the 2 U.S. senators from Minnesota, Hubert Humphrey and Walter Mondale, supervising the ceremony. My competitors from WDIO had compassion on this young guy, and they taught me something important that day. They helped me with my f-stop settings, and so in that spirit, a big thank you to everybody who has helped me along the way. I'll never forget witnessing courage in tough times. This courage goes far beyond the newsroom. My GM at WWMT in West Michigan, Dick Appleton, came to my office one day and slid a note with 6 numbers on it across the desk to me. "That's how much advertising has been canceled today," he said. You see, my I-Team reporter, Wendy Salzman, and I had produced this blockbuster investigation on complaints about automotive repair shops. There was a furious backlash from car dealerships who canceled their advertising. Dick's face was ashen. He was a basketball star at Duke back in the day, so he looked down at me from his 6'8" frame and emphatically declared, "This story is why I am in this business. I will get all of them back on the air in a month." And he did. It really takes courage to do what we do. I've seen incredible personal courage. Judy Marquis and I worked together in West Michigan for years on campaigns to encourage women to get a mammogram. The fight against breast cancer started as the 10th woman, then it became the 9th woman, then horribly 1 in 8 women were being diagnosed, and we had to call it the 8th woman. One day Judy got her own terrible news, and she went public with it, fighting back tears as she said goodbye to all her viewers. But she made it through a double mastectomy, a treatment, to the cheers of everybody, and she was back on that anchor desk for many more years. Judy, you will always be one of my heroes. I want to say thanks to all of my great GMs over the years: Jerry Watson, Dick Appleton, and Tom Long, Gil Bittner, Lynn Stoyer, who I followed from Buffalo to Louisville, David Jones in Little Rock. My news directors who taught me so much: Jim Willey, Tim Riddell, Gary Long, Tom Becker, Perry Box, Mike Rindo, Susan Kelly. You probably know some of these folks. To the brilliant Dennis Kendall and the insightful Joe Rovito, who have counseled and guided me over the years. Fellow broadcast journalists who I worked with so closely over the years: Carolyn Long and Mark Frickland in Little Rock, Rich Kelman and the fearless Tony Farina in Buffalo, Rick Little and Brian Trowering in Louisville. In Kalamazoo, Jeff McAtee, Judy Marquis, Alicia Smith, Keith Thompson, Steve Hayes, the late Art Charlton, Kelsey Carlson, who you all know, Dennis House, Brendan Keefe. On our desk, John McCrary, Missy Broderick, and Dan Sheneman, who's now a voice on NBC News Channel. And now in Rochester, Tom Overly, Caitlin Alexander, our terrific, remarkable team at KTTC. Hundreds of people, impossible to name all of them. And to all the young people who I have hired over the years, many now leaping far beyond what we did together, thank you for trusting me with your time and your talent. Mark Albert, Heidi Wigdahl, Abby Boudreau, Scott McFarland, Dan Wolf, now in Duluth, Chris Conti, Kimberly Davis, Mike Sullivan, and dozens of other enormously talented journalists who are spread all over the country. Thank you for your energy and enthusiasm for our work together. To our son Chris and our daughter Nickie, who faithfully became part of broadcast TV projects of all kinds, most important to the love of my life, my wife Cindy. She put up with the hours and the craziness that comes with this career, and really all the moves around the country too. So without your love, caring, and support, Cindy, none of this would have been possible. I'm deeply honored tonight. Thank you very much.